Hey everybody, Alex Markley here with Markley Bros Entertainment, and today I have another visual effects breakdown for how to do some of the VFX in Blender that we are using for the new episode of the Malix Minute. Now, I absolutely love this shot. This is a shot that I've been wanting to do since really the very beginning. Actually, the very first Malix Minute episode was supposed to be opening with a dolly shot, but we just couldn't get it right. We didn't have the right equipment, and so finally I'm able to do an establishing shot that really captures the tone and the essence of the scene. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Okay, so a couple of things that I want to call out right away. The previous video in this series, I tried to do some of this camera motion tracking live, and it didn't really work out all that well. I actually had the wrong lens intrinsics because I had a brain fart. I was, this is what happens when you're trying to do demos live. I put the wrong information in, and it really screwed things up. So I actually went back and I did this again. And I'll be honest, I'm so much happier with the results now. And you can see we have a ton more markers that I'm using to kind of get different parallax information from the scene. And, you can really see that there's markers on basically every plane. So the closest plane here being the front of the bed frame, and the farthest plane being this wall back here. I got a ton of information in here, and you can see all of these tracks come together really, really well in this graph. And this is a lot of information for Blender to be able to use. Now, I can also see in this graph that the camera motion is not as smooth as I would have maybe liked. It's interesting because I was trying to do this camera motion by hand, and I had a lot of trouble getting it to be smooth. Visually, I think it looks great. I have no complaints. But if I did have problems, I think I could actually use Blender to do some motion stabilization in post, especially since we're shooting at 6K. So we have a lot of extra wiggle room with how the frames, we can do some reframing in post and not lose some of that really nice Blackmagic image quality. So aside from that, I wanted to just call out that the camera intrinsics, in this case, what I did was I set the sensor width because we know that for sure. That's just part of the camera. And the focal length, I don't think this is exact, but this is what I had captured in the actual footage in the metadata. So, gotta love that Blackmagic Raw metadata, getting lots and lots of metadata about how things were shot for future reference. And then I let Blender set the rest of this information. So, in comparison to last time, I spent more time sanity checking. So if I do a render undistorted, you can see that it actually looks pretty reasonable. It's not really crazy like some of the results that we were getting before. And I'm using the grid as well to kind of show what the lens distortion, the polynomial lens distortion looks like. And another thing that I did, which I think probably helped, is I did try to get more markers out in the periphery, so that as Blender was honing in on a solution, it would be able to better observe some of this non-linear motion caused by the lens distortion. So those were some of the things that I did differently. Now let's jump into the scene here. Now I'm really happy with how this turned out. Let's take a look at what we've got here. Now, I kind of eyeballed the lights. I remember where the lights were set up. I didn't capture an HDR map or anything like that. And the reason is because the principal things that we're illuminating here are these cartoon toys. Now, in the Malix Minute universe, we basically have two different kinds of things. We have photoreal items, and we have toon items as well. And this toy in particular, this is a stuffed toy named Hartnell, who made his initial appearance in the very first Malix Minute video. And he doesn't really factor in too much in this episode, but I did want him to be hanging out in Snufflefungus's bedroom. And this is actually using a brand new toon rendering technique that I am really enjoying. I'm gonna put the link in the description below. But this is using an experimental toon line rendering node. If people are interested in this, I will probably paste more. I'll probably do more videos with more information about it. But this toon line rendering is so much nicer than what we were doing before. And just from a Blender rendering perspective, it makes it really nice to be able to do the kinds of toon effects that I wanted to be able to do. And then from the perspective of, how is the scene assembled, there's really not much to it. It's this table here. I just kind of mocked this table up real quick so we could have some shadows on the surface of the table in a somewhat realistic way. And then I have this this pencil case here modeled, just a very, very simple mock-up of it for a holdout. So you can see if we zoom up on this that it's actually blocking part of Hartnell because he's occluded by it. And you can see basically it's really, we're using some of the fancier compositing features of Cycles where we have objects that are functioning as just shadow catchers and objects that are functioning as just holdouts. They're basically blocking anything that they are occluding. And then over here, I threw in this toy airplane. It was a little bit of a stretch goal, to be honest. This was a little bit of a stretch goal to put this in here, and I realized as I was going that I was basically signing myself up for trouble with this beanbag. And so I I just kind of whipped together a stand-in beanbag chair. This sort of amorphous blob is my stand-in for the beanbag, and he's also just functioning as a holdout. So I probably could have done a traveling mat in post to do post compositing, but for this scene, honestly, I'm happy with how this turned out. It was really simple, and the final composite was actually done right out of Blender. So that's it. That's my really quick VFX breakdown on this shot. I'm super happy with how this turned out. There's a ton more coming. We actually have a few more shots in this scene that are very VFX heavy, and I want to get back to the underground dungeon scene here very soon and show you guys a little bit more about that. Let me know what questions you have. The reason why I'm doing this is to be transparent in the post-production and honestly the full production process of what goes into a Malik's Minute episode. And so this is for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments, what you're interested in seeing more of. If you have questions about how I'm doing something or why I'm doing something, fingers crossed, maybe I'll have a good reason and it's not just because I'm new at this and learning as I go. I'm sure you guys have a lot to teach me as well. So let me know what you think. And hey, huge shout out to my Patreon supporters. You guys definitely make this possible, and we couldn't do Markley Bros Entertainment without our Patreon supporters. So thank you for that. And if you're not a Patreon supporter, think about it. This is some cool stuff that we're doing, and like I said, it wouldn't be possible without your support. So subscribe, leave me comments, and check out links in the description below. And have a great evening. Thanks. Bye.